going on?
What's going on here?
How is this possible? Great storytelling starts here.
Oh, come on.
Why? It's time for 60.
Okay, class, let's begin.
Psst, love your boots. I just sold a pair like that on eBay.
Oh, really?
Yeah, it took like 2 seconds to list, and they sold almost immediately. I've been selling everything lately. Some chunky boots, a faux fur coat I never wore, and a vintage chair that was more of an expensive clothing rack.
You know, I actually bought these on eBay. Wait, are you Kitty Sell Stuff from Brooklyn?
Okay, quiet, please.
Find what you love. Sell what you don't. eBay. Things people love.
Pump up the volume.
Business moves fast. Orders roll in, deadlines close in. When you ship with USPS Ground Advantage, you can keep up with confidence. Every package stays in our secure network from dock to door. And with nationwide reach, dependable tracking, and upfront affordable pricing, you get built-in peace of mind. You run the business. We run the routes. Visit USPS.com/Ground Advantage to learn more.
Good afternoon. Still a bit slow over here where we had a stalled car on 24 West near Shelby. Just really heavy in both directions right now. Trying to get past the football stadium there on I-24 and Ellington Parkway slow as well. Line down pretty good on 65 northbound. As we check it out live here at Rivergate Parkway, trying to get up into Goodlettsville. Watch for radar. I-40 out through the Mount Juliet area. Hey, don't let a slipping transmission make things worse on your car or truck. Bring it to Amco Transmissions on Nolensville Pike. I'm Commander Chuck. You're on-time traffic.
Local farmers, local meats, vegetables, and other produce at the Winter Spring Rutherford County Farmers Market.
Bundle up and make your way every Friday at Lane Agri Park.
Rutherford weather. Overcast skies tonight with a low of 29. Cloudy skies expected tomorrow. A slight chance for snow changing to rain, 56. I'm WGNS meteorologist Derek Height. Currently, it's 41 degrees.
We do it your way at Sir Pizza.
Murfreesboro's favorite pizza is now hiring at all 3 locations. That's right. Join the Sir Pizza team. Just stop on in and ask for a manager.
We're the Good Neighbor Network. FM 101.9 and AM 1450 Murfreesboro. FM 100.5 Smyrna. Audio and video streaming at wgnsradio.com.
From the first pitch to the final buzzer, this is where the conversation starts. All sports talk on WGNS and Big G TV, covering the Preps, MTSU, news from Tennessee and nationwide. Now, here's all sports talk on the Good Neighbor Network.
We are on the Good Neighbor Network. Tim Tackett along with Jeff Jordan. Jeff brought to you by Fans Heating and Air. Lee Colvin Financial Services with Edward Jones. A sunshiny day in Murfreesboro, but cold for March. Hey, happy St. Patrick's Day, by the way, Jeff.
Same to you. I've seen a lot of green today. I'm not wearing any green, but I've seen a lot of green.
No, you got on blue. I've got on red. And today is the grand dog's 10th birthday. Think about that. The grand dog.
I don't have any idea what you're talking about.
Grand dog.
Grand dog?
Yes.
I don't know what that means. What's a grand dog?
It's a family member. It's a dog.
Oh.
Let's move on.
That was fascinating.
Sports is something we know more about than.
I'm sure our audience enjoyed that.
Yeah. We were talking just before we got on the air about the Titans. The draft is coming up here soon. They've signed a lot of free agents, and the football stadium, I don't know if you've been past it lately, is way out of the ground. It looks, from the outside, kind of looks complete. A lot of work on the inside to go. About this time next year, Jeff, I think is when it's supposed to open.
That's exactly right. The last I heard, which was, I guess, about 10 days ago, they thought that February of 27 would definitely be open by that time. And that even gives them a few months of making a mistake, doesn't it? But and still being open for the season. So, and I'm hoping they're going to open it with a ball club that can go at least 500.
Well, obviously, if they open it in February, lots will happen between February and August when they play football in there, right?
Right. And I think they've made considerable improvement to this year. I think they have, but we haven't snapped the ball yet. But I think we have. And just about every area, got coaching, assistant coaching, perhaps. Certainly players. We got a lot of new players. Some proven players that belong in the league. So I'm very hopeful.
When you're in the conversation for being the worst team in the league, change is not a bad thing, right?
That's correct. And if the Las Vegas, what are they?
Raiders.
Okay, if they quit, we're in trouble. We could win the worst team, but that's last year. This is not the same team. So we'll see.
Spring has come. We have 2 state tournaments in the books. The D2 tournament in Clarksville, from all indications I've had, Jeff, it was highly successful there. F&M Arena, I keep getting great reviews. I've never been to the place, but I understand it's a really nice place in Clarksville. First year there, and then Girls State last week, culminating in 4 state championships. I don't know if you watched any of it or not, but the Saturday game, final game with Richland and Middleton was a good one to end it on. A 1-point game, and the classic euphoria on one end of the court and absolute sadness on the other.
Well, I think I did read that we had pretty good crowds.
My understanding that about 17,000 total paid attendance for the tournament, which is pretty much on par for what it's been the last 2 or 3 years.
That's okay. And I guess maybe we forget. I don't know whether we do or not, but really we're introducing Middle Tennessee and Murphy Center and Murfreesboro to a whole group of people that possibly never been here before. And I don't know whether they had or not, and the gymnasium, obviously, and it's very important how we treat these people, and I hope they enjoy themselves.
In Indiana, when I was growing up, Butler Fieldhouse or Hinkle Fieldhouse, it's been named now, in Indianapolis was the site of the state tournament. The same place that you saw the state championship game in the movie Hoosiers, by the way.
Right.
And Hinkle was just the code word for this is where you want to be in March. It's pretty neat. You get outside of Murfreesboro and find out that people want to be at the Glass House. Everybody in high school basketball seems to know where the Glass House is, which is a good thing for us, right?
Yes, absolutely. Absolutely. And now when you come in there, and you don't have to go, well, all you got to do is come in there, really. And you got a beautiful baseball field right outside the door, and a terrific soccer complex, track complex, just right outside the door, and it's just a great place to go to. It is.
Well, it's 52. Let's see, it's opened in 72. I'm missing some years, Jeff. It's 54 years old now, right?
Yeah, I guess that's right. Yeah, that's right. And
it still shows very well.
I'm hoping that we have continuing to rebuild our football team. I'm very hopeful of that. I don't know though. We'll see.
Well, obviously another subject, but since you went down that rabbit hole, let's go ahead and go there just a bit. Spring practice will commence here soon. I've always said this, and in football in particular, when people ask me how are we going to be next year, my guess is I really don't know much because I cannot evaluate football the way I can, I think, in basketball.
I can't either, but I understand what you're saying.
But now, more than ever, I'm not sure anybody knows, including the coaching staff, until they get on the field. The good news here, for the first time in, 3 or 4 years, what you put on the field in the spring should be the team that you get to play in the fall, as opposed to going through spring practice and having another series of portal ins and outs and so forth. So I think from a coaching standpoint, I would feel far more settled in that, and you really get a chance to work with the team that you should get in August.
I would say, too, that the coaching staff, generally speaking, is pretty confident of who a lot of their starters are likely to be ahead of time without that nightmarish portal looming its head again between now and the start of the season. So I think that makes it easier to but I don't know about the quarterback situation. Do you?
Well, I don't, other than the young man that came in the last 3 games and played, I thought, extremely well. Gives me hope that we could be in good shape there.
Well, I hope so too, and I imagine coaches are also hopeful that that's correct.
Well, certainly it's a focal point of any team to make sure that you're in good shape there. But offensive line, defensive line, all the other parts that go with it, and the thing about it is there are what you call practice players and there are game players, and sometimes they're not the same breed. And I'm sure his coaches, after a week or so, will begin to have a little bit more of a realistic view of what these players can and can't do, and where they need to hopefully set their offense and defense. The new offensive coordinator is on site. Did a podcast that I listened to, watched him, and so forth. Quite impressive, his story, and I'm anxious to see what he can do. But I do think that was probably the proper change. I never felt really comfortable last year with what our offensive scheme seemed to be.
Well, we maybe shouldn't leave the Titans quite so quickly. I think they got lucky for a change last year. I can't believe I'm saying that. And that their quarterback, not only did he pretty much improve a little bit every week, and he was already a talented guy, but he didn't get hurt. But now during the spring and after the season, the Titans improved the backup quarterback situation considerably. And now you wouldn't just, be absolutely scared to death every time he snapped the football. And I think that takes a big load off right there. But I would guarantee you, and you would agree 100%, every single coach on that team who coaches somebody, defensive line off, whatever they coach, they're looking for an upgrade somewhere. Can somebody step up and do better at this spot? Or do we get somebody at this spot? And that's how we'll spend the spring.
Well, we're guilty of what sometimes I fuss about is here we are in March. State tournament basketball is underway. NCAA tournament starts tonight with the first four, I think they call it, going into Thursday, Friday, when you get the upsets and the Cinderellas and all those terminology get used. And we're talking football.
Well, okay. Yeah, and you're right. We do have I don't know, maybe we're going to come back to this in a minute. I don't know what we're going to do, but the basketball situation, I do not remember a year, and they do run together, and I'm an old man, so okay, but I don't remember a year where it was just absolutely wide open as who could win that championship. There's not one team or three teams or five teams or necessarily one bracket. There's somebody in every bracket. It's really a good tournament field.
Do you think that the getting into March Madness with that? Do you think that the portal and the change of players and the being able to buy teams basically is going to change the number of Cinderella upsets we see on Thursday and Friday, or do you anticipate we'll still get some of those neat stories?
Tim, I just don't know. It does seem like every time you turn around, a Tulane or a George Mason or somebody like that pops up, and you look and they're in the Final Eight. You know what I mean?
Sure.
And I like that.
But yes, I do too. But I'm concerned that the ability for, let's go back to the Middle Tennessee team, which we know well in 2016, 2017, that those kinds of players will not stay at a Middle Tennessee long enough to make those kind of runs anymore. Because let's go back to Giddy Potts and a player that led the country, I think it was, in three-point shooting. In 2026, will that type of player still be at Middle Tennessee in order to make that kind of run?
No.
As opposed to moving up, which means could Middle or Belmont or East Tennessee State or whoever make those kind of runs, because those key players likely have been siphoned off to someplace else.
Yes, I would think so. I doubt if Giddy would have had a senior season in Middle, and probably not a junior season. He was just that good and that entertaining, and he had a great personality and was loved by the fans. So he would have been somebody that would have been gone. Maybe.
There are several reasons I think Kermit Davis made the move to Ole Miss. He was highly successful here, but Kermit and his family enjoyed Murfreesboro a lot, and still do, I think. But Jeff, I think the thing that he said then, and is far more true now, when you're a mid-major, quote, whatever that terminology necessarily means, but in the Conference USA Sun Belt range of teams and so forth, at that time, I think, wasn't his team like 26 7-4 or something like that. Does that sound about right?
Yeah, it's close.
Won the tournament to get there, but he would have been fearful had they not won the tournament of getting into the field with that.
Right.
This year, Miami of Ohio was undefeated until the last week or two of the season. One loss, and there was a lot of conjecture that even an undefeated, one loss team, because if they lost in the conference tournament, would not make the tournament. And I think that's the reality that he looked at and says, I just don't want to be in a situation where I have to win a tournament year in and year out. I like to be in a place where I have a chance to get to at-large bid, and he's so true. But the at-large bids going to schools like Middle Tennessee at 29-3, I think are gone.
Entirely possible, and I think Kermit is probably an exception to the general rule. I believe, first of all, he was respected and popular as a person here in Murfreesboro and Rutherford County at Middle, and also I think this says an awful lot for a lot of people, and that is that he had a challenged daughter,
yes,
who was ridiculously popular at Middle Tennessee, at every game and in every contest, with a great attitude, a lot of fun, and people just accepted all of that, and he seemed satisfied with that.
Well, when you're in the coaching ranks, you want to put yourself in a position to do the best you can, not only for yourself but for your school and whatever. And the point I'm making, we'll take a break after I make that point, hopefully, is that at-large bids were hard to get for Middle Tennessee before. I think they're going to be almost impossible to get from now on, the way that the NIL is set up. And the conferences like the Big Ten and the SEC basically rule the show, and they're going to get their wishes far more. The 11th team in the SEC is likely to get an at-large bid well ahead of a 29-2 Miami of Ohio team.
Well, I think that's exactly correct, but we can come back to it and say that really what we're really talking about here is money.
Yeah.
If you're able to buy the players, I'll just put it that way, then you're going to be able to do that. And if not, if you don't have the money and the backing and the support, you're not going to be able to do it.
It was a problem 40 years ago, right? 30 years ago, 20 years ago, and 10 years ago, but it's far more problem today.
Yes.
Let's take a break. We'll come right back. We'll try to solve it when we get back on All Sports Talk.
In Rutherford County, you know how much it means to have neighbors you can count on. I'm State Farm Agent Andy Wommel, here to help life go right when you combine home and auto insurance. Call me today at 615-890-0850 and let me save you money and time. Your home, your auto, together they're where life happens. I'm State Farm Agent Andy Wommel. It's smart to protect them together to help life go right. Give me a call at 615-890-0850 and let me help you save by combining your home and auto.
This is a paid legal ad.
If I had to rate the office of John Day,
I would definitely give him a 5-star rating.
20 stars.
Probably like 100 stars.
If you're ever injured, know that we are here for you too.
John Day's office was wonderful.
They are caring.
I would recommend them to everyone.
Over 1,000 times a year, a lawyer refers someone who needs help in a personal injury or wrongful death case to us because we treat every referral in a timely, professional way. Trust the lawyers other lawyers trust. Trust the law offices of John Day.
This is Wade Hayes from Toots Restaurants. One of the things that put us on the map here in Rutherford County was our daily specials. Now you can go to our website, toots.com, and click on the Daily Specials tab to see what those are.
Hey, this is Jack Hayes. Come over to Toots Restaurants and play our cool arcade games. And while you're at it, come check out our menus.
Thank you, Rutherford County.
Thank you for dining with us since 1985.
Thank you for dining with us for 40 years.
Lace up your best kicks for a night of impact benefiting First Shot. Join us for the annual Sneaker Ball presented by Venture Express. Spend Sunday, April 26th with NFL Hall of Famer and Super Bowl MVP Marcus Allen. The event kicks off at 6 with a VIP meet and greet at 5. Reserve your table today. Call Coach Andy Herzer at 615-631-5312. We'll see you at the Sneaker Ball benefiting First Shot on April 26th.
When you make the right decision, it feels good, like picking the perfect accent rug or choosing a good night's sleep over an all-night crime show binge. It feels really good to make the right insurance decision, too. That's why State Farm is here to help you select the right protection at the right price. Hello, I'm State Farm Agent Deb Insel, and I'll make sure that you understand your State Farm coverages so you'll know what to expect if the unexpected happens. With State Farm, it's easy to make the right choice. Like a good neighbor, State Farm is there.
You know, everyone has a more. First, it's a pony, then to be on the cheer squad. Your more grows up just like you do, but your more can still carry you away or make you cheer. At First Bank, banking local gets you more. More of our time, more access to local bankers, more flexibility, and more product choices. Because getting more empowered and confident helps you pursue your more. That never grows old. First Bank. Bank local, get more. Member FDIC.
Good afternoon. Still a bit slow over here where we had a stalled car on 24 West near Shelby. Just really heavy in both directions right now. Trying to get past the football stadium there on I-24 and Ellington Parkway slow as well. Line down pretty good on 65 northbound. If we check it out live here at Rivergate Parkway, trying to get up into Goodlettsville. Watch for radar. I-40 out through the Mount Juliet area. Hey, don't let a slipping transmission make things worse on your car or truck. Bring it to Amco Transmissions on Nolensville Pike. I'm Commander Chuck. You're on-time traffic.
It's all sports talk from the Good Neighbor Network, FM 1019, 100.5, AM 1450, wgnsradio.com, and Big G TV.
We are back. Tim Tackett and Jeff Jordan. Jeff brought to you by Fans Heating and Air, the lead calling financial services with Edward Jones. Talking a little bit of college basketball a bit. The Middle Tennessee, disappointing for sure. The showings in Birmingham, in Huntsville. The men on a 5-game winning streak, apparently peaking at the right time, on a good high. Got off to a slow start and never recovered from that. Loses their game in a 4-5 seed game by, I think, 11, 80-69. Does that sound about right?
Yes. I was unable to go. I was planning on going down. If either one had won, I was planning on going down, and then we didn't win, so I didn't go.
I was there for sure, and the women against Missouri State, who ended up winning the tournament and playing in the NCAA, lose by 3, had the basketball in their hands to try to get a 3-point shot off to maybe tie it. Were not able to get a shot away and ended up losing by 3. Never led in the game. The men never led in the game. I went to Huntsville and saw Middle Tennessee not on the positive side of the scoreboard on either game. Unfortunate. The women's game was especially frustrating in the fact that Missouri State opened the door often in the fourth quarter to give us a chance, and just could not make enough big plays to pull it off. And Elena Contreras at the end of the game was just distraught. She was the one that carried the team, absolutely carried the team to a chance to win it, and they put it in her hands, the right one to put it in for sure. And Missouri State knew who was going to get the basketball, Jeff. Yeah. And they doubled her, and she just couldn't get away, could not get a shot away, and somehow or another, I had this feeling that if she could have gotten one away, it would have gone in.
Right.
But it didn't happen that way, and the season apparently ended then, but then we find out that Middle Tennessee will be playing in the WNIT tournament sometime early next week. So their season will play on, but disappointing in the fact that, as I say, Missouri State did go ahead and win the tournament, so Middle had a chance, and frankly, I thought the men certainly had a chance as well when Liberty got knocked out in the first round, the team that I thought was unbeatable.
Yeah, I agree.
And they got knocked out and opened the door for the men. Mentally, Jeff, you get in a situation like that, you see the prohibitive favorite knocked out of the tournament, and now it becomes a wide open tournament for the other 9 teams that are there. I'm not sure what, if anything, that had to do with the way they played that quarterfinal game, but the season ends for them, and who knows what next season will be. As I say, with NIL and the portal, we will be taken away from, and we will bring some players in, and Lord knows we'll just have to see what shows up in in the fall.
Did you find out, and I should have done this, if they extended the contract to go back to Huntsville? Because I understood
I'm
that
not
they
asking
had.
that question. I don't know, but I'd be terribly surprised if they don't.
I think it's already done, and I think it's more than 1 year. But I do not know that, so please don't hold me to it, because I do not know for sure. I was told.
Obviously, for us here in Murfreesboro, Tennessee, it's about as good as they can get. They're not going to put it in Murfreesboro.
No, we've done that.
It's not going to be in Nashville because they covered up with SEC. So, from a distance standpoint, it couldn't be much better for us. And I think for the league, you got four schools that are marginally close to Huntsville, Alabama. When you got teams all the way from Delaware to El Paso, Texas.
Can't really find a good place.
Fort Lauderdale, Florida. For those schools, there's just no chance that they're ever going to be close to those schools at all. So they just need to understand that, and they do, that they're going to be coming someplace, and that's about as good as it's going to get probably.
Well, of course, a lot of the schools have hosted it, including Middle Tennessee, although it's been a number of years now. But I don't know. It's not going to go to Nashville. You're right about that, probably. There's plenty of conflicts. I would assume that, I would think that there's probably not a place in Nashville that could host it.
Back in the olden days, you're talking about that, go way back to the 70s. When the conference champion hosted the tournament. That's just the way it was set up. If Middle Tennessee wins the league, you host the tournament, which means A, you got the best team probably, and B, you got the home court advantage, which is not fair to the other schools, but from an attendance standpoint, that's the way it was done. I think those days are gone, Jeff. You're going to be on a neutral site someplace, no matter how you do it. And Huntsville's a great host. It's a nice city to be in. The arena is very nice, accessible, reasonably priced, I think, from a standpoint of the ticket in this day and time. Jeff, as you know, tickets are out the roof, all kinds of places. But all said, reviews are for me, and I've been there all 3 years. It's been in Huntsville. It's been a really nice place to be, and I'd love to see it there for foreseeable future.
I'd like to offer Bellwood School here in Murfreesboro, the Discovery School. We've got new nets and outdoor courts.
New nets.
Plenty of standing room. Is that probably not feasible?
My guess is you don't have breakaway rims on that.
Oh, yeah, I forgot about that. Well, okay. Never mind. I'll take that away. But if we can't play at Middle, we'll go to Huntsville. That's all right.
Well, the tournament does begin, as I mentioned, tonight, and women's tournament will start. I guess the next night. I'm not sure. I haven't checked the charts there, but back to Middle Tennessee, the Drexel St. Bonaventure game will take place in the winter. That will come to Murfreesboro someplace either Sunday, Monday, or Tuesday, and I'm not sure why they leave the dates as open as they do, but I guess it's for teams to be able to make their travel plans in some way. But Middle will be hosting a game early next week, and we'll just have to see what that's like. Just pay attention to All Sports Talk. We'll have the news for you.
Well, do you bid on those? That's the way you used to do. I don't have any idea.
I don't know the process, Jeff, to say for sure. Yes, my guess is that's true. But now, part of that is that you're seeded. There's 48 teams in the tournament, so 16 teams, like Middle Tennessee, is one of the 16 teams that do not have to go through that first round. So whether we bought our way into a 16 hosting a second round game or not, rather than playing first round, I don't have any idea how that worked out. But I'm hoping that they picked the 16 teams to play in the tournament and say, when can you host a game, and everybody's able to do it. Now, in Middle's case, because state basketball tournaments in the past has been somewhat of a struggle, but this year, apparently, because it's either Sunday, Monday, or Tuesday next week, that's not in the way at all. So, but I can't speak to that for sure as to whether that's a situation where you do.
They used to pay quite a bit of attention to the attendance that you've had during the regular season for your team as well.
For the sake of making sure we're very clear, the WNIT, the Women's National Invitational Tournament, is now a third-tier tournament. There's the WBIT, the Women's Basketball Invitational Tournament, which was once upon a time the second-tier. The second-tier tournament was NIT. There was no BIT. So you're looking at 64 teams in the Big Dance, right?
Right.
Another 48 in the WBIT.
Right.
And then you get to the WNIT where Middle Tennessee is. So I'm guessing at this point in time you're looking for teams that A are wanting to play and B willing to play, because I'm going to say there a few invitations might have been sent out to folks and they said no, we're through. For example, I think am I right that Belmont men chose not to play in the NIT tournament. They just said we're finished. Their coach is leaving. So you have the opportunity to play, and you're invited. And if you choose not to play, you don't. Then move on to the next team.
Right. I don't know why Belmont did not want to go. I suppose that the coach leaving would have some sort of influence over that. Although he was quite popular and they had a great year. Like they always do.
Oh, my goodness, yes. Thus he gets the Kansas State job. I mean, you don't go from Belmont to Kansas State without having a good year, for sure.
So anyway, I'm sorry they're not going to play, but somebody's going to benefit from that.
at Middle Tennessee, for example, or let's talk about Belmont there. How much do the players get to say in that? Did they walk into the players and say, guys, do you really want to play this tournament or not? Or you read the tea leaves? Or at Middle Tennessee, did you go in and say, girls, we're playing the tournament? And because at this point in time, with the disappointment of the season ending the way it did and so forth, there's got to be some teams that saying, girls saying, guys saying, let's let this season die. So I think in these postseason tournaments outside the big dance for sure, which teams really want to play? And my hope and guess is Coach Insel and staff will bring a team out that's anxious and hungry and wanting to play, and we'll give the best effort. And Jeff, looking at the field, there's no reason Middle Tennessee can't win that thing.
Well, I don't know what you would do. I think if I were coaching, I believe I would know, first of all, whether they wanted to play or not, probably. But let's say I didn't know. I'd ask them and just let them discuss it themselves. I believe in doing that. I think that's all right. I also understand that, my gosh, if you've played 30 games, that a lot of these teams do, and so you didn't reach your goal or goals maybe for postseason. I can understand why a player might not want to play. I get it.
Season starts in November, right?
Right.
The season really starts in September, right?
Right.
Really starts in July and June. And it's a long deal that you go through and so forth. And yes, I think from a coaching standpoint, you would know your team well enough to say, but you need buy-in from all your players. You don't want to go on the practice floor saying, girls, I'm going to crack the whip here. We got a tournament game to play, and then they're looking around saying, Coach. Yeah. We left it in ABC Arena. Name the league, name the tournament, name the whatever. I think it's time to move on, and maybe especially if you're a senior, right?
Right.
Maybe right. They're the ones that want to play the worst. I don't know. In Middle's case, it's Elena Contreras is the only player that will not be back next year for sure because she's run out of the years to play. Everybody else has eligibility left over. When you got out of the 7 or 8 players, I guess, that played any foreseeable minutes, 5 of those were freshmen. As a coach, I think you probably want to get as many players on the floor as you can, as long as you can.
I have a friend, and he's a friend of yours, George Hockenberry, who won so many games I can't even count that high.
Sure.
At Oakland and Central, but he had won the league, I believe, and he was going into a tournament play somewhere, and I was not at his practice, but I did hear from one of his players that he put in a new offense. All right. So, okay, well, and that was 2 or 3 days that they did that. And I asked him, I said, George, what do you expect to accomplish putting in a new offense at this time of year? I said, and he said, probably not anything. He said, but I'll tell you this much. He said, they paid attention.
Mm-hmm.
And I thought, good point.
Yeah.
Good point. Because if you've done this and I've done this as well, no matter how good you are, you practice the same thing. And that can get pretty tiresome.
In other words, trying to do the same old grind at this time of the year may not be the way to go. Maybe something fresh and new just to throw around with. And, Jeff, wouldn't you think, at least many of these teams are thinking, it's really isn't about this year as much as it is next year. Maybe I need to start looking right now at playing these games to maybe try a little something different or try a different approach to see. It'll be interesting to see how Middle Tennessee approaches it, for example, to see if players that maybe didn't play as much in the last 10 games of the season get more of an opportunity to play in this tournament, just to see what they can do for next year.
Well, and we need to kind of look at Middle a little bit next year. And probably ought to ask Rick this, but what's going to be his emphasis now? He's got a very, very, very young team. Okay, if he signs, recruits, whatever, a number of freshmen, he's going to have a very, very young team next year. You have sophomores and freshmen. And I don't know whether you go the junior college route. We've had some success with that, both men and women, over the years. I don't know, but it can be a tough thing.
Well, junior college route is a different deal now because you can go the college route. It's a portal thing for sure.
That's true.
And key number one for the Lady Raider team is are all these kids coming back? And I think that's step one, is what that situation is going to be. And my guess is they have a pretty good idea now that will or will not happen with player A, player B, player C. If they all hang with the program, like hopefully they will, we'll see some improvement. But they're going to have to replace Contreras, Jeff. That gal can play.
She's a good player. Yes, I would agree.
They leaned on her awfully hard the last 5-6 games of the basketball season, so somebody's going to have to take up that slack at some point in time. All right, it's time for a break, and we'll come back. We got, I think, Blue Raider Insider Report coming up next with Chip Walters right here on All Sports Talk.
This is Chip Walters, and I'm honored to be your 2024 MTAR Realtor of the Year. I'm with Exit Realty Bob Lamb & Associates, and like many of you, I've seen the real estate market shift and change. People often ask, Chip, what's really going on? Well, that's a great question, and I believe in answering with solid, factual data. So let's cut through some of the noise. I invite you to reach out. Let's have a conversation about your real estate goals and the current market trends in your neighborhood. You can find all my contact information at choosechip.net.
This is Peter Demas inviting you to enjoy a meal with our family at Demas's Restaurant. With cold and flu season here, nothing helps my family more than having the Demas's baked chicken and rice soup. It was a soup that was created by my grandmother, and we not only sell it by the cup, but we also sell it by the quart, by the half gallon, and by the gallon. So stop by anytime today and bring soup to your family that may be sick, or a friend that's sick, or just to enjoy it just because it tastes so good. Demas's Restaurant.
Large Auction Company will get you top dollar for your property.
Auctions are easy, fast, and profitable.
I've always been a big fan of auctions. Get instant sale, no contingencies.
That means the sale of your property won't depend on an inspection, financing, or appraisals.
I've known the guys over there my entire life.
Call Parks Auction and Realty or visit parksauction.com.
Parks Auction Company will get you top dollar for your property.
Parks Auction Company, committed to auction excellence.
Told it to you, 27 and a half.
This is a paid legal ad.
There are no bad questions. I would encourage anybody who has been injured and they believe it's somebody else's fault to reach out to us. There's nothing wrong with asking questions, and we're happy to give answers.
Turn left, they're there. You turn right, they're there. They was just there. And to me, they're the number one. They're the number one in the world.
Trust the lawyers other lawyers trust.
The law office of John Day, they were great.
Trust the law offices of John Day.
They saved my life.
Next on All Sports Talk, it's the Blue Raider Insider Report with Chip Walters of Exit Realty, Bob Lamb & Associates.
Well, good afternoon, everybody, and we'll get to the sports side of things in just a moment. But the big news of the day is that Middle Tennessee State University President Dr. Sidney McPhee has announced he'll retire at the end of this year, concluding more than 25 years of leadership at the university. McPhee formally notified the MTSU Board of Trustees in a letter presented during Tuesday's meeting, calling it, quote, one of the greatest professional honors of his life to serve as the university university's 10th president for more than a quarter century. McPhee, who has led MTSU since January of 2001, said he's proud of how far the institution has come during his tenure and expressed gratitude to faculty, staff, alumni, and especially students. He also shared that after stepping down, he plans to continue serving the university as a tenured professor in the College of Education. His announcement comes just months after the passing of his wife, Elizabeth McPhee, that happened earlier this year. McPhee will remain in his role through December as the university begins the search for its next president. Again, the news of the day, Dr. Sidney McPhee announces he will retire at the end of 2026. All right, as we move to other action, Blue Raider baseball is playing this afternoon. 4 o'clock, they got started against Murray State. They beat Murray couple of weeks earlier, and today's game was originally scheduled to be in Murray, Kentucky, but they're putting new turf down at the Murray State baseball field, and it's not quite ready. So the Blue Raiders and fans got a bonus home game against a team that was in the College World Series a year ago. Also, Lady Raider softball on the road at UT Martin playing the Skyhawks for the third time this year. All right, let's move to men's tennis. The Blue Raiders, now 16-6 overall, delivered a dominant performance on Monday afternoon, sweeping Chicago State 7-love at the Adams Tennis Complex. The Blue Raiders set the tone early in doubles, securing the opening point with decisive wins on the top two courts. The duo of Eric Creevy and Jonas Dzopiak rolled to a 6-0 victory on court one. Bertan Duran and Antoine Mayoral matched the result with a 6-love win on court 2 to give Middle Tennessee a 1-0 lead heading into singles play. Cougars didn't have anyone playing at 6, so MTSU got another point there, leading 2-0. And in singles play, freshman Houston Jocks was the first to finish, cruising to a 6-1 slick-slove victory on court 5. Freshman Richard LaLance followed with a 6-1, 6-1 win on court 4 to extend the Blue Raider lead to 4-love. Duran added another point on court 1 with a 6-1, 6-3 decision, while freshman Santiago Laura secured a straight set win on court 3, 6-3, 6-3. Mayoral battled through a 3-set match on court 2, rebounding after dropping the second set to close out a 6-1, 3-6, 1-love victory in the match's tiebreaker. Lady Raiders hosting New Mexico State today. That is going on at the Adams Tennis Complex on this cold afternoon. Middle is now 4-10 on the women's side. New Mexico State is 4-7. This will be a Conference USA matchup. And Middle Tennessee's men's golf team closed play Sunday at the Schenkel Invitational with a 9th place finish after 3 rounds at Forest Heights Country Club. Middle Tennessee's Lady Raider basketball team, they'll be awaiting their opponent in the second round of the WNIT. The Lady Raiders making it to the postseason yet another year. They will face the winner of St. Bonaventure and Drexel in Murfreesboro. That game will be played probably either Sunday or Monday. Expect an official announcement on that coming up very soon. That's it for today, folks. More tomorrow right here on the Big G, WGNS.
It's all sports talk from the Good Neighbor Network, FM 101.9, 100.5, AM 1450, wgnsradio.com, and Big G TV.
Welcome back into All Sports Talk. Tim Tackett, Jeff Jordan. Jeff, the announcement made official by the university that Sidney McPhee will be retiring or leaving the post of president at the end of December. That had been long discussed. Now official the case, and as I mentioned, I think any chance that he may have changed that decision at all probably when his wife Liz passed away. I think he was very, as anyone would be, very moved by the fact that he's lost his spouse of many, many years. And anyway, congratulations to him on that move, and I like it from his standpoint that he would like to continue as a professor at the university in the field of education. I think that's a nice thing.
I agree 100%, and he's been a very positive influence, I think, in the community, and as MTSU president and basketball fan, which he was, but he was also a fan of just about everybody, the MTSU, every team. I don't know where you saw him first, but I can tell you where I saw him, and it was at Ole Miss. And we were playing football down there, and my wife and I were there plenty early, and we were drinking a Coke over there under that shade trees, and here he comes. And I did know who he was. I had seen a picture or something, and he shook hands with everybody he could find. You know, just middle people.
Sure.
And he was just bouncing around, very enthusiastic. And I thought, well, if that's the kind of guy he is, we hired the right guy. You know, he likes what he's doing. So evidently he did.
Well, 25 years ago, that's a long time for anyone to be in any position, for sure, especially president of a university. Wish him well, and it's obviously be very interesting to see who the next president will be. Likely somebody, Jeff, you and I have never heard of right now.
Very likely. We probably don't even want to get into that discussion, but you are right. This will be a job that a lot of people will apply for, and some of them are undoubtedly on the middle staff now, and there'll be some from all over the country. So we just hope that whoever does the hiring makes the right choice.
Well, that process will have 9 months to work itself out. Jeff, it's always been interesting to me, looking back historically at other schools, how many interim presidents are put into place. That, you know, like, we can't find somebody in 9 months' time, I'm going to find one in the next 9 months. But it happens frequently.
It does.
We had one here that stayed in the post, I think, a couple of years as interim, and that never has made much sense to me as to why it takes that kind of time frame to make things move along.
And I have to say that I really haven't kept up with it that much, but you are right about the interim, and that applies to a lot of things, not just university presidents, but to find the interim, and then that person does a good job, and then what do you do? You know, I mean, it's a problem. And sometimes I know that they won't hire an interim if the interim says they won't apply for it. Then they won't hire them as the interim.
Wouldn't you hope that this person can be named by September, October?
Sure.
And have an opportunity then to work with, to see the inner workings of it, so that there can be a very smooth transition of leadership. And Jeff, where I see Middle Tennessee right now, other than the basketball team's not winning a championship this year, and football team not winning a championship, but from an academic standpoint, the campus looks great.
It does.
So many new buildings are there, and there's still more construction on its course. Attendance seems to be holding in good shape and so forth. So from where I sit, things seem to be in pretty good shape, and hopefully someone can come in. But I hope that they make the decision in a good course of time, where they have a chance to get this thing taken care of in good shape, and just move right on with leadership from one day to the next.
Well, I don't know exactly how they do that, but the number one thing you want to do is you make an announcement that this position is open.
Sure.
And then, and as part of that announcement, so that you don't have to go through 10 million applicants, you say generally what the requirements are, education, that sort of thing, and then I guess you have a deadline. So and they haven't done anything yet. So this is March the 16th, 17th. This is the 17th. You might have a deadline for, say, June 1 or something, and then you start your interview process. But I don't know exactly how they do it.
The question we hear in searches on this show more is about coaching. How important is it that you find someone that's been a university president someplace else before?
Very important.
As opposed to someone who comes in on staff, or someone who comes in as a provost or associate dean or department chair, something, as opposed to one that already has actually done a presidential leadership role in a university of a smaller stature.
I don't know that I would I don't know that I would be all that fired up about getting someone who's been a university president before. That would be a good thing, I think, but it's not a bad thing that they don't have that, particularly if they've been on staff and have a career or a career educator, including from the classroom on. I don't. It doesn't generally work out a lot of times. If you have somebody that hadn't been in the classroom.
And another question to ask is it better to get someone that comes in with a fresh look on the thing, that knows very little about the university, so to speak, comes in and sees things, as opposed to someone that's already on staff, already here, been there, done that, and so forth, that has a little harder time to maybe come in and shake up the. But maybe it doesn't need to be shaken up. Isn't that a question you got to look at and say, if it ain't fixed, don't broke. If it ain't not broken, don't fix it. This kind of thing, or a fresh set of eyeballs, fresh new ideas coming in, as opposed to someone who's already kind of got a look on the way things are.
Yeah, and I do see your point, and I know we've had jobs even in Rutherford County, and certainly Nashville, where people on staff, generally speaking, if there's more than one person on staff, they were very careful about that sort of thing, because the faculty might be split on who to hire, and it's 3 or 4 people on staff applied. That can be a problem. Maybe a fresh look from someone outside of your county, of your city. I know I was a part of hiring 2 superintendents of Rutherford County schools, and about the only requirement that I had in my own mind, other than what we actually were working with, was that I kind of wanted somebody from somewhere in Tennessee, if we could find somebody from Tennessee, and we did. We were able to do that, but you got to be open-minded. I mean, there's a lot of great people.
The one thing that I was on school board as well, and did the same process. The one thing you want to avoid, if you possibly can, is a 4-3 vote.
Oh yeah.
You'd like to find someone that everyone can step out and say, okay, that may not be my first choice, but I can go along with the majority that's there, and we come with a solidarity situation that all 7 or all 15 or all 47 of us, whoever it is, we can all endorse this guy or gal as being someone who can do the job.
I agree with that 100%. I think it's very important. Even if you don't necessarily agree, you're afraid in your mind, you haven't hired the very best person in your mind, but the majority of the board thinks you have. Well, okay,